Manchester United's biggest weakness has been exposed by 6 members of the dressing room. A midfield three of Casemiro, Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes has worked brilliantly for Manchester United this season, but 2 of those players were unavailable to play Leeds on Wednesday night, and the midfield was unbalanced. Eriksen sustained an ankle injury against Reading in the FA Cup and could be sidelined until May, and Casemiro is serving a 3-match suspension after picking up a red card at the weekend. Donny van de Beek and Scott McTominay are also currently sidelined with different concerns, so United lined up with Fred, Marcel Sabitzer and Bruno Fernandes in midfield against Leeds. The absence of Casemiro had the potential to be significant against the visitors, who press efficiently, and that suspicion was confirmed almost immediately after the first whistle at Old Trafford, which was stunned when Wilfried Gnonto scored early. Gnonto's goal in the first minute was well taken, but the move might have been thwarted had Casemiro been on the pitch. That strike highlighted the pitfalls of not having a specialist defensive midfielder in the team, and that was the story of the game. Although it was the first time Fred, Sabitzer and Fernandes had played together, to be fair, the midfield seemed non-existent at times in the opening stages, and Leeds found it far too easy to transition into the final third. Ten Hag might have considered tweaking personnel at halftime, but his options on the bench showed why talk of a Premier League title challenge is premature, as youngsters Zidane Iqbal and Kobbie Mainoo were the only other midfielders in the squad. Iqbal and Mainoo are highly regarded. Manchester City have won the Premier League 5 times in the last 6 seasons, essentially because Pep Guardiola has 2 starting lineups. Their squad depth is absurd, and that has given them an immense advantage across multiple competitions. Guardiola's side have not been at their best this season, but the squad remains the strongest in the Premier League, and Ruben Dias, Calvin Phillips, Ilkay Gundogan, Aymeric Laporte and Kevin De Bruyne were on their bench most recently against Tottenham. Just for perspective, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Tyrell Malacia, Jadon Sancho, Facundo Pellistri, Anthony Elanga, Iqbal and Mainoo were the outfield options available to Ten Hag from the substitute bench against Leeds on Wednesday night. Sancho was the only experienced player who could change a game on that bench, and that's exactly what he did. Fortunately for United, the winger was superb and crucial in securing a 2-2 draw after replacing Wout Weghorst on the hour mark. With Anthony Martial and Antony also unavailable, Ten Hag was without 6 first-team players against Leeds, and that would hurt any team in the league, perhaps even City, but the lack of squad depth was highlighted in the draw, and that will need to be addressed for a title charge to be possible. United are just 7 points adrift of leaders Arsenal, who have 2 games in hand, and stranger things have happened. However, the lack of options away from the starting lineup will become even more pronounced in the latter stages of the season. The Reds remain in all 4 competitions, and the fixture list has been brutal since the new year. There are bound to be injuries sustained, as there have been, and that seems likely to restrict United to a 3rd-placed finish this term. Ten Hag has exceeded expectations in his first season, and it seems he could achieve something special with a stronger squad. This campaign was supposed to be a transitional one, and the future is bright. In other news, Facundo Pellistri is giving Manchester United something different in attack. For someone who plays like they are up against the clock, Facundo Pellistri has shown an impressive degree of patience at Manchester United. The winger finally made his first appearance for the club a month ago, coming on in the closing stages of the Carabao Cup win against Charlton. He had waited 2 years, 5 months and 3 days for a debut, playing for his country before his club. But after 10 minutes at Old Trafford, the overriding emotion from supporters was why he hadn't been glimpsed more often. Pellistri was a direct runner against the Addicts, and he created a goal for Marcus Rashford in the 3-0 win. Since then he'd had cameos against Nottingham Forest and Reading. But on Wednesday night came another first, a Premier League debut. Erik ten Hag turned to the 21-year-old with just over half an hour to go against Leeds, and his impact was immediate. He didn't get the assist for Rashford's goal, but it was his work to keep the ball alive that allowed Diogo Dalot to swing the cross in. Jadon Sancho arrived alongside Pellistri, and the balance of United's attack tilted. Rashford moved through the middle and Pellistri went onto the right wing. It's difficult to analyze, but I think after we make that change it's different for the opponent, Ten Hag said. It's difficult for the opponent because the dynamic changes. The defenders are in a certain way, they are anticipating a certain attack, and then all of a sudden everything is changing. When we move there, not only Rashford but we bring in Sancho, and we bring in Pellistri, and that changes the game, as we did on Saturday as well, and we benefit from that situation, I think. Changing the dynamic of the attack is something Ten Hag has spoken about in recent weeks. He used the same description when he discussed moving Bruno Fernandes to the right to replace Antony, changing the equation for a fullback from a winger to more of a midfielder. Pellistri could offer a similar function. With Antony the first-choice right winger, there is certainly potential for Pellistri to be the next in line. He looks to have jumped the queue ahead of Anthony Elanga already. Antony and Pellistri might both be right wingers, but they are very different players. The former likes to cut inside onto his left foot. He isn't particularly direct when taking his man on, and his game can often be about combinations. If defenses have settled into that rhythm, then Pellistri, 21, could be the player to disrupt it. In a squad full of inverted wingers, he is a throwback, a right-footed right winger who dribbles at defenders. That directness can create chances, just as did when he came on against Charlton for that first appearance. Leading into January, there was a thought United might look to cash in on the winger. He looked bright for Uruguay during the World Cup, and despite not playing for his club, his value had probably gone up from the 10 million euros United paid for him in October 2020. He was a player United had tracked for 3 years, watching him play for Penarol in the Uruguayan League and in Copa Libertadores matches. He had attracted the attention of Real Madrid, Juventus and Atletico Madrid. For the rest of this season, Pellistri is looking like an option for Ten Hag, a plan B in the front three, as he proved against Leeds. When Ahmed returns in the summer, the competition for places will go up again, but at the very least he is putting himself in the shop window and looking like the kind of talent United thought they had signed. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe to Man United Hub to get all the latest updates.